Hi guys, Helen the Russian here. So today's video is about Lyft Line and Uber Pool passengers who did it right, who nailed it, who know exactly what it's all about. So just a quick recap. Obviously it's not for drivers. Drivers know exactly what it is. Passengers are not aware. When you hail Uber Pool or Lyft Line, it's a shared ride. You understand you're sharing the car with other passengers. The benefit to that is you're sharing the fare as well. So you're paying less money. However, it can add, in some cases, quite a bit to the total time of your commute because it doesn't necessarily work in line. Oftentimes, the app will add the passenger, and to pick them up, we'll have to make a big loop or even backtrack. That's not unknown to happen. That's definitely is the case. Or you may find yourself in the car with the people that, the people with body odor, whatnot. You never know who's going to get in the car, basically. And you never know which part of town, depending on the length of your ride, right? But all that said, drivers do not benefit financially from doing Pool and Line, meaning you pay the fare, the other passengers pay the fare, and Uber and Lyft collect all that. We don't get all of those fares. We only get one fare for all of you, right? So it's not necessarily financially profitable. Also, it's oftentimes it's not worth the hassle. However, there are cases when it is, and many drivers choose to take them. However, many more simply will not accept Pool and Line. So remember that. Not profitable for drivers. A lot of drivers simply will not accept those rides, period. That means longer waiting period for you. So you're standing in there, you requested a pool or a line, and there is no car. Well, that's the reason why. Because a lot of drivers, despite the fact that you saw all these cars in the area when you first opened the app, well, all those drivers don't want it, right? Anyhow, but oftentimes it's all good. I do take Pool and Line rides, not every single one, but I do take them, and they end up been quite nice sometimes. So these are examples of the rides that were done quite right by the passenger, and it was great for everybody. So case number one, and that's the most important one, I always talk about it, and it's really just common sense. When you drop your PIN, if you see, because sometimes the app does it for you, if you are not in a residential area, meaning not in front of the house where the number and the street name is, that's all you need. If you're in any kind of business area, central district business area in the city, put down a landmark. What I'm trying to say, let me break it down. Okay, when the request for a ride comes to me and it says 126 South Main Street, tells me absolutely nothing. I don't know what that is, and there could be quite a few businesses or hotels or whatever right next to each other. Some of them may not have a number, a lot of them, the whole block may not have a number. It makes it difficult to find you, especially if it's a busy street and there are a lot of people standing on the sidewalk looking at their cell phones for whatever reason, because you know that happens, right? So if you requested the ride, and because you see what dropped in, where the pin dropped and what it says. So if you realize that's all it says, just the street number and the street name, drop a quick text to the driver. I'm in front of the plaza. I'm in the parking lot of 7-Eleven on the corner of Spencer and Sunset. You see what I mean? That's so, in my case, it happened a couple of times and I really appreciate it. Like one time I got a request for whatever number, Covell Street, and that's another thing. I was driving on Covell moving south, and that told me nothing. Because app takes precious seconds to reroute and recalculate, and in the meantime I'm moving. I'm in a line of moving traffic. I can't just stop in the middle of the road in the moving traffic. So without knowing exactly what the landmark is, I actually could be moving away from you, and it'll take me that much longer to return. It's so much easier when you know what the landmark is straight away. So you don't need an app. In your head you calculate how to get to the pickup area the fastest way, right? So that's what happened. I was driving on Covell going south, and I got the ride request for blah 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 number, Covell Street, and I'm like, ooh. And then almost immediately there is a text saying, hey, we're in front of the Top Golf. Awesome! Kudos to those passengers, love them, and I told them that really helped because I actually had to make a U-turn and I used the opportunity really quick. Otherwise, I would be driving forever. I would have probably had to cross Tropicana and backtrack if I didn't know that. So one good example, always and always try to put the landmark down. Again, it's a common sense. You don't need to be a rideshare driver or even experienced rider. Most of you guys, the passengers, you drive your own cars in your city. You know, you use rideshare for whatever reasons. You're in another city without a car, you know you're gonna drink or you've been drinking, you can't be bothered driving, your car is in the shop, so you are a driver yourself, so think about it. Doesn't matter how well you know your own city. In a business district where there are a lot of businesses, if you get, your friend says, hey, pick me up at 53 South Ohio Street, like, what is that? What's there? You know, is it a restaurant? Is it a hotel? Is it a coffee shop? What is it? Tell me so I know where you are, right? Okay, so these passengers did it right. Tick. Another good example of doing the rideshare ride, I picked up Uber Pool. There was a girl at Town Square. I picked her up at Town Square. And she was going quite long ways. I could see why she did the pool, because she was going kind of northwest, like way out, like 25-minute ride just about. And as we start moving, we get another ride request. Now it was already dark, and that second rider was in an industrial area of Las Vegas, which is kind of, think roughly, local people think roughly around Polaris and Valley View, like back there. So, and it's dark, and obviously it's hard to see the person and it's not lit. This guy, he stood right on the sidewalk waiting for him, which is another important thing for the line and pool. Definitely when you request your ride, especially for pool and line, you should do it for every ride, but pool and line especially, be ready, right, exactly where you want to be picked up. Don't start requesting when you're still inside and not finished with whatever you're doing. Be ready, stand there. So this guy, not only he was right there on the sidewalk, waiting on the other side of the road, as a matter of fact, which is why I'm glad he did it. He saw me coming because I have a lift amp, you know, that pink thing up front, so he could see me coming from quite a distance. And he used his cell phone flashlight app to start blinking, which I knew he's right there. Fantastic, awesome thinking. I complimented him when he got in the car. That was great because the street was empty. I was able easily, without any trouble, to make a U-turn right to him. He hopped in the car and we proceeded with our ride. We didn't waste any time, we didn't make anyone wait, and everyone was exceedingly happy. Great thinking. Awesome, and again, it's just common sense. He stood in there in the dark and industrial area and he could see, like, hell, you know, it's kind of hard to see me, like, you know, she would know where I am. So there you go. Another good example of really good pool ride, you know, think about it, ride share, you know, the initial idea was to share the ride with other people. Yes, it's means of getting across and it's competing with the taxi, but initial idea was for regular folks to help each other by sharing the ride, right? So in theory, it should all be pleasant and bring people together, and oftentimes it ends up happening. So I got a Uber Pool request to Mandalay Bay, and even before I got there, I can see that there was a rider added right there at Mandalay Bay, which is another thing. When it's busy in Las Vegas at the hotels, that actually does happen. So I pull up and the first two ladies, I could see them straight away, and they had some luggage, so I'm loading the luggage, and the guy, the second passenger, it was him and his wife, they now approaching. So when we all piled up in my little car, and thankfully everybody was nice and slim because my car is not that big, so 4 people, technically it sits 4 people, but honestly if someone is grossly overweight or obese, and I don't mean any mean way, but it's a reality, then probably only 2 of those people can fit in, and 1 in the front seat, so 2 in the back, 1 up front. I won't be able to fit the 4th person, but no, all of us were nice and slim. So we got in the car, and immediately people started interacting with each other, which is, hey, where are you from? Come to find out, they're all from down south. And we all had a really nice chat. It wasn't a particularly long ride. We went from Mandalay to Cosmo and then to the Link. But I mean, we all had so much fun. We really did. It was good. It was just good, pleasant, fantastic for everyone. Everyone loved it. I dropped off the ladies and they're like, oh, this is the best ride we ever had. And so did the folks when I dropped them in the link. Again, kudos to the passenger. They totally understood what the concept of it is. And yeah, they did it so they can pay, you know, $1 or $2 less for the fare, but they understood what that is. So good times were had by all. It was all good. Take a leaf out of their book. Again, Uber Pool and Lyft Line is a cheap ride. There's no any other way to say it. It is. It's a cheap ride. You're getting a cheap ride, but we all know there is no such thing as a free lunch. No! And so the price you pay for that is A, you're sharing with random people, and B, the trip could take significantly longer. So be accepting of it and make it easier on your fellow passengers. Be easy to find, stand right where you're meant to be and be ready. Don't make people wait. And if you realize that the pin is unclear, at least to the driver, then either flick a text or call and say, hey, I just wanted to make sure you know exactly where I am. I'm standing right here. I'm waiting for you. And just hop in the car without further ado, and then we can all exchange pleasantries when we start moving again. That is the whole concept of Pool and Line rideshare. Everybody have a fantastic Sunday.